Hey Insiders, we've got a very special guest joining us here today who's going to be coming on and talking about their experience going through our flagship course, LMA, which is the Life Mastery Achievers. And we're going to be speaking about everything from the start to finish and everything else in between. And I guess just to start us off here today, would you mind telling us what your name is and where you're currently based?
My name is Jody Bellion, and I am currently in the Phoenix Valley of Arizona.
Fantastic. Jody, just want to say pleasure to connect with you here today. Thanks so much for giving us your time. Looking forward to having a little bit of a chat and a conversation. And just diving in today, speaking all things LMA. I'm just curious to know, like, what was it that you were struggling with or having challenges with prior to joining LMA course?
It actually was like divine timing because I was literally at like the very bottom of my life. Like it was really, really hard. I was a new single mom and just really struggling with my own identity and who I was and what, all the hopes and dreams that you have in life. And then you kind of get old enough that you feel kind of chided down from that and just really feeling kind of hopeless and low. And I came across one of Tim's videos and it was just really inspiring. And I thought, you know what, I need this. This is like, I'm in like, you know, I'm not going to breathe without something like this. And so, yeah, it came in at like the perfect time in my life and it made such a huge difference for me, for sure.
Wow. And how long, Jody, was that period happening in your life where you were feeling like that? How long were you consciously aware that, okay, things aren't right, things aren't okay anymore? How long was that happening for?
Well, it was really about 4 years. I've kind of had that little like behind my ear kind of like things aren't quite right, but you try to just push through life and I'm going to make this work, and I had all my positivity and everything. And then there was a really like a 4 year period. I know everybody got hit with COVID. That was kind of a blow for everybody, but I had like a couple years before that where it was already starting to hammer me down, and then COVID hit and it was just like take you down. That's it, last blow. And so just the stress levels in my life were through the charts, and my brain was literally shutting down. Like I couldn't process information. I was actually even afraid that when I took the course that I would even be able to process it. But I intentionally spent kind of like my last dime to do the extra coaching with Alice, and she was so amazing. And she really was a huge support for me. She was exactly what I needed, was that like somebody who would really know you, not just like, okay, what are your goals, but really like care and really step in and see you as a person and what are your needs. And I that was exactly what I needed in my life at that point. And so it really helped pick me back up from, I don't think I can do this anymore, to no, I can do this. It's
Wow.
going to be okay. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for sharing. I'm so happy to hear that. And I heard you just say there now that you like when it came to finances, you were partnering with like, your last dime to make this thing work. Did you have any
Yeah.
hesitations or resistance or skepticism that stood in the way prior to signing up? And if so, how do you then put that to one side and step forward in faith then?
It was terrifying, like just pure honesty. It was totally terrifying because I was in this desperate place. I thought if this doesn't work for me, I'm doomed, because I like don't have any more money to do anything else. And so I really was so scared, and I really thought, is this the I weighed back and forth, is this the right choice? I don't know. Um, but the one thing I can say to everybody out there, if anybody else is listening to this and trying to make that decision, is that the people in this program are like the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. All positive, all encouraging, all really care about people and not just the program, not just like cattling people through programs. And I have purchased lots of courses over the years, and this one just really felt so human and personable. Like, everyone really is out for your good and really is gonna like lift you up if you're feeling discouraged. And there were many times that I was overwhelmed and I didn't keep up, on track. And, we have that little critic in our head that's going to be like, shame on you. You're not keeping up. You can't do this.
Mhm.
And I started to go into that. And then people, whether it was Alice or people in the community, everybody just kept like, come on, just get back up. And it wasn't the usual kind of, the whip out, like, get to your goals, you got to do this thing. It was just so full of love and care. And I think as human beings, we need more of that, more community and more support in that kind of love.
Wow.
Yeah. And it really picked me back up. And I kept having to just go, okay, like, take a deep breath. Let's do this. And just kept plugging through.
Beautiful. Oh, I love to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing. And that was going to lead me on to my next question, and maybe you've answered it. Maybe that was the biggest thing for you. I was going to say, like, what surprised you the most in the LMA experience? And I heard you mention there as well that you've done previous courses as well. What was different about this then, this whole experience? And maybe what surprised you the most about the program itself?
Mm-hmm. I really, the Heartfluencer challenges really helped me. I really think that like embodying the learning by walking in it in a safe space where you're not gonna, people, I mean, the online can be a scary place because people can be very harsh and rude and mean and, nitpicky or whatever. But I really felt like doing the Heartfluencer challenges, and it was a challenge. Like I had to push myself to do it because it was vulnerable, and things came up in me that I wasn't even expecting. um, Emotions that I hadn't dealt with for a long time that had been piling up because you kind of put on this survival coat. You just go, okay, I'm going to plow through this thing, and then you don't really take the time to actually deal with what's really there. It was such a deeper level of understanding. It wasn't just throwing knowledge at you. It was really an internal process that helped you evaluate yourself and get to know yourself. And the parts that impacted me the most were like the future self. Like when I did some of the activities where you actually have a conversation with your future self and they like give you something, like it still brings up emotion now because it was so powerful. Like I was so beaten down in life that I had completely lost contact with that part of myself, that authentic part of myself that I knew was in there, but it had just been covered up by all of the stuff in life. And so to have those activities where you really activate yourself to get to know yourself, it doesn't land here. It actually lands like everywhere in your system. And I didn't think I'd have energy to do it because I was so, tapped out. But that was one of the lessons Tim shared was about, energy is fueled by your inside, like where you're driven from. And when you tap into that authentic self, all of a sudden you have energy that you never even had before.
Wow.
So it was stunning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I love this. And I honestly, from speaking with you, I can just feel energetically how much you've taken away from this and how you speak, and your conviction is so beautiful to watch and witness. Which makes me want to ask, what has shifted the most for you in your life since before the LMA to now, the person that you are now? So how differently does your life look, or how do you operate differently now after going through the LMA experience?
Oh gosh, it's a huge difference. I really feel like before LMA, I felt like the world was coming at me, and I was, this vulnerable thing blown by everything that the world hit me with. And then through the process of LMA, I just felt like I got really grounded in myself. So now as things happen, like they just happen, and one of the things Tim taught was kind of like that, like events are just events. That was a huge thing for me because I was really turning meaning into all these things, like the world is out to take me down. And when you interpret everything that way, it's just bigger and stronger and you're weaker. And when, events are just events and you're just going through life and you're grounded and you know who you are and what you want, all of a sudden those events don't have as much power over you. And so I feel so much more grounded. I have 2 girls that I love and take care of and live for. And I'm more emotionally stable for them. So they're not swaying me as much. I'm not swaying them as much. You know, there's just a lot more peace in our home. I'm more grounded to be able to deal with their, you know, emotions and things because I'm more grounded. And I'm actually stepping up and stepping out of the depression and stepping into new goals and feeling like I can do this. And so that is just worth every penny times 10.
Wow. I love it. I honestly, this makes my heart so happy, like hearing you speak with just so much like love in your heart and passion and excitement for life. I really can feel it like 100%. I'm genuinely so happy. Um, how would you summarize Tim as like a teacher, trainer, facilitator? What would you say about Tim?
I have been so inspired by Tim. He really, the way he speaks, he tells lots of stories. So the things that he shares, they have more context. They feel really good. He's got amazing energy. He really, the one thing I can say the most about him and every part of his team is like, you can tell everyone actually cares about you. Like, you don't always get that. Like, people do a lot of teaching, they do a lot of training, but then they cattle people through like, and here's my training and you do with it what you want. But Tim feels like the friend who, when you're sick and you don't show up for a while, is going to call you and say, hey, are you okay? Like, is everything all right? Because I haven't seen you around. Like, that's my experience with Tim. And Alice has been amazing and caring. And even in one of our sessions, I was getting behind, and I thought for sure she was going to like really like slam me on that. And she really just checked in, and she's like, Jody, what do you need? Like, what do you need for you to be the best version of you? Like, that may not be reaching the goal right now. That may be like sleeping in one day, like, but just don't stay there. Like, do what you need to take care of you so that you can then take care of the goals. So I really feel like Tim and every one of his teams are very people purposed. And then the goals are kind of part of who you are, like part of getting you to the best part of you. But it's not just goal oriented. It's so people oriented. And that has been like amazing for me. I'm such a social learner and a social person. And I think humanity generally is, even though we're moving further away from that. So I think the world needs this more than ever, is to really be community minded and really work on ourselves, because the world change starts right here. And if we don't focus on one at a time, then we don't actually make a difference. So it's been real true relationship. It's amazing.
Ah, thank you so much for sharing. I love it. I love hearing this. It's so heart fulfilling to hear students go through that experience and that they feel that, and then obviously you've brought that into your life too as well. And I guess just on that final note, like final question for today is, if you could pass on your knowledge to people knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to people who are thinking about joining this program or who want to change their life, but they're maybe sitting on the fence or they're considering it, but they really want to change their life? What would you say to them after going through this course and really committing to changing your life? What would you now say to those people?
I think the biggest thing would be like, what have you been doing and is that working for you? Because I kind of had that self-sufficiency mindset where I'm like, you know, I can handle this, I can do this, until I literally burnt myself to the end of the candle. There was nothing left. So like, we can't keep doing the same thing that we're doing and expecting different results. You really have to take the step to do something different in your life. And it can't just be learning more. It has to actually be an inward journey. It has to be really discovering who you are, who that future self is, who you want to be, and aligning yourself with that. Because I really felt like I was an intelligent, well-educated person, and yet I lost touch with that person, and it really derailed my whole life. So I really feel like getting back in touch with that core authentic person who has passions and who, you know, I served everybody else but not myself. And so you have to like take time in your life and really feel like, wait, is this life that I'm living like fulfilling any of my hopes and desires, or am I just doing everything for everyone else? So taking the time and the money to invest in yourself and align yourself back to who you truly are, I think is one of the best investments you can make in your whole life ever.